Welcome to the Old Time Radio Westerns. I'm your host, Andrew Rhines, and I'm excited to bring you another episode absolutely free. This episode is just one of over 80 episodes we release monthly. Now, let's get into this episode.
Fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver, the Lone Ranger. With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver. Let's go, big fellow. Hi-Yo, Silver! Hi!
Ringo Smith and his band of outlaws had spread terror along the Missouri border for a long time, robbing, raiding, and killing. Then suddenly, and for no apparent reason, he and his band disappeared as completely as if the earth had swallowed them. However, the Lone Ranger suspected that they had moved westward to the Red River Valley, marking the border of Texas and Indian Territory, then being crossed by great cattle herds, moving toward the railroad at Abilene, Kansas. One morning, the masked rider and his Indian companion Tonto drew up their mounts to examine the trail of horsemen.
Oh, Silver. Oh, Scout, old fella.
Ready, big fella. Easy, Scout. Easy, fella. 2 riders pass here, Kemosabe.
Yes, only a short time ago, Tonto.
You think maybe them Ringo Smith's men?
They could be. Gangs moving into new country seldom travel together. They break up and meet at an appointed place.
We follow tracks?
Yes, at least until we're certain they're not Ringo Smith's men.
Look, Kemosabe. 2 men ride this way.
Well, they've seen us. They're turning back.
Maybe them bandits.
Either that or they think we are. Let's overtake them and find out. Steady, Silver.
Easy, Scout. Easy, fella.
Come on, Silver.
Get him up, Scout.
A few moments later, as they drew closer to the 2 fleeing riders, the Lone Ranger saw a vast herd of cattle moving slowly toward them, and he called to Tonto.
Tonto, pull up here. Ho, Silver. Ho,
fella.
Whoa.
Easy.
They're not outlaws, Tonto. They're scouts for that big cattle herd.
Them think we bandits. Them run plenty fast.
Think we better explain our actions. We might have reasons to regret it if we don't.
And what we do, Kemosabe?
Ride down there and talk to the rancher or his trail boss. All right, let's go. Come on, Silver.
Get him up, Scout.
Colonel Jim Haines had become a rancher after years of honorable service in the Army. Hard work and square dealing had made him successful. He hated crime and criminals, particularly cattle thieves. He was an active man who could ride with the best of his hired cowpunchers. He was in camp during a cattle drive when he saw two of his men approaching at top speed.
What's the trouble, Joe?
Hey, looking back of us, Colonel. See that masked hombre and the Indian?
Well, I'll be switched. They're riding in here.
Yeah, me and Bob almost rode up on them a while ago. We turned back to the herd, they followed us.
They were gaining on us every jump.
But I can't understand why they're riding into the camp like this.
Better cover 'em. Never mind, Bob. I think I know 'em.
What? You know them?
Welcome, my friends. This is indeed a surprise to see you here.
Good morning, Colonel Haynes. Tonto and I mistook your men for bandits.
And they mistook you for the same.
Now, that's obvious now. I thought we'd better explain our action.
If you're not bandits, what are you wearing that mask for?
Joe, if I wasn't afraid you and Bob would stampede the herd, I'd tell you who this man is. But I can assure you he's no bandit. Now, my friend, you and Tonto climb down off your mounts, and I'll have the cook serve up hot coffee and victuals for you.
Well, thanks, Colonel. We'll gladly accept your hospitality.
Steady, Silver.
Joe, you and Bob go tell the cook we've got company and to fix up a breakfast fit for a king, huh?
Yes, sir, Colonel Haynes. Come on, Bob. Get up there. Get up.
During the hearty meal with their old Texas rancher friend, the Lone Ranger told him about Ringo Smith and how he suspected the bandit and his outlaws had moved into the Red River Valley with intentions of raiding passing herds. Breakfast over, however, he and Tonto returned to the place where they had seen the trail of horsemen. Picking it up again, they followed it for several hours. When topping a ridge, they suddenly saw a band of men camped beside a creek in the valley below them.
Oh, Silver. Fella. Oh, fella.
There they are, Tonto.
Ah. You think them Ringo Smith and outlaws?
There's no doubt of it. There must be all of 30 men in that band. And they're not herding cattle. That means they're outlaws.
And what we do, Kimasabi?
The band is much larger than I thought. Even if we rode back and got Colonel Haynes' range crew, we couldn't capture them.
That right. They're too many. Look, Kimasabi. Bandits look this way.
Yes, they've seen us.
Then shoot. And what we do?
Don't run. They'd trail us or scatter. I don't want either to happen.
What we do, Kimasabi?
I know I'm riding down there. Dismount and begin building a signal fire at once.
Me do it.
Come on, Silver.
This sudden move on the part of the Lone Ranger threw the camp of outlaws into amazed consternation.
Hey, Ringo, look. That big fella on the white horse is riding his way.
I'm not blind. I can see
Give me
him.
that rifle. I'll drop him off that stallion.
Shut up, Pete.
But what do you
Don't
want?
you see he's wearing a mask?
Mask? Now, what in thunder would...
All I gotta say is he's got plenty of nerve.
Hey, Ringo, look. His Indian friend's staying up there on the ridge.
Shut up. Here comes the one I want to talk to.
Oh.
Cover him, boys, while I talk to him. You got plenty of nerve, mister.
Yeah? What do you mean?
I lay a couple of shots across your bow, and instead of running, you head this way. What's the idea?
I wanted to find out if you're just a bad shot or bluffing.
What do you think?
I think you're a poor shot.
Yeah? Well, if you really think so, just reach for one of them guns of yours.
Gladly, if your men will keep out of it.
Shut up, you men. Holster your guns. I want the pleasure of dropping this masked critter out of his saddle.
Oh! Shot the gun out of his hand.
And any man who makes a move will get worse. You'll need a new gun, Ringo.
Hey, how'd you know my name?
It's my business to find out who comes into this territory. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, well, let me tell you one thing. You got in here without a scratch. But you'll have more than a scratch on your mangy hide before you leave.
I'll be too sure of that, Ringo. Take a look at that Indian up on the ridge there.
What about... Hey, what's he up to?
He started a smudge fire.
Yeah, you're right about that. One false move out of you men, and your scalps could be hanging from Indian belts within 10 minutes.
Hanging from Indian belts.
My friend's got his signal fire ready. It'd take him about 10 seconds to summon his renegade brothers. They outnumber you 5-1.
Renegades? Say, just who are you and why are you wearing that mask?
Why does a man usually wear one?
You sure are a nervy owl hoot.
Takes nerve to operate in this territory. I'd heard you had nerve. Came to talk to you.
About what?
This is my stamping ground. You either get out of it, or you work with me.
You've got plenty of gall. Well, listen to what you've got to say. Then I'll decide whether I get out or not.
I can show you how to clean up a fortune.
Yeah?
It will take nerve.
Let's hear it.
There's a trail herd of 10,000 steers moving north toward Abilene and the railroad. It's not far south of here now. We can grab that herd and move it into Abilene and sell it. Beef on the hoof is worth $10 a hundred at Abilene. Figure that out for yourself, Ringo.
Yeah, we'd make plenty, all right. And I can see why you'd need white men and not your Indian renegades to get away with it.
Well, how about it, Ringo?
All right, it's a deal. When do we start?
Only when I give the word. I've got to get possession of the papers first.
Papers? What papers?
The ranch records. If we attack the trail crew before we get them, they'll destroy them or try to escape with them. Without the ranch records of the herd, Abilene beef buyers wouldn't deal with us.
Oh, yeah, I get what you mean. How'll you get them?
Leave that to me. I'll get them during the night and be back here by daybreak.
Mister, somehow I think you're pulling a big bluff. You might shoot one or two of us before we got our guns, but one of the boys would get you, too. Savvy?
Do I talk like a fool?
No, can't say you do.
I haven't lived this long acting the part of one. Joining my Indian friend now. You can put out his signal fire when we're gone. Adios, and see you at daybreak. Come on, Silver!
Yeah, he may be on the level, but I'm not taking any chances.
How do you mean, Ringo?
As soon as that critter and his engine part are out of sight, we're moving camp. But we're not going together.
You mean we're to scatter?
Yeah, we'll meet at the place we camped 2 days ago. Now get your horses saddled.
Hey, but Ringo,
What is it?
if he is on the level, how'll he find us?
Pete, me and you are staying here. If he's bringing the law with him when he comes back, we'll know it in time to vamoose and notify the rest of the boys. And if he's not bringing the law,
Yeah?
we'll gun him down from ambush and take the papers. Then we'll grab that herd and move it to Abilene ourselves.
After leaving Ringo Smith, the Lone Ranger rode hard and frequently turned in the saddle to make sure he wasn't being followed. Presently, he cut sharply to the right and guided the great horse Silver uphill to the ridge where he had left Tonto to build a smudge fire. He found his Indian companion waiting and ready to ride. Then the two traveled together until the masked man raised his hand and signaled a halt.
Oh, Silver, We're far enough from their camp now, Tonto. I want to give you some instructions before I leave you.
You go and me stay?
Yes, I'm going to rejoin Colonel Haynes. I've got a plan to capture Ringo and his band without bloodshed. But we mustn't make one mistake, or it'll be disastrous.
Me ready to do what you say.
Well, Ringo doesn't trust me. He'll either run or he'll try to double-cross me.
Me think that, too.
I want you to return to some point where you can watch his movements. Now, Ringo rides a beautiful taffy-colored stallion.
Me call it sorrel.
Yes, but his horse is much lighter than a sorrel. Just keep your eye on Ringo and his horse. He's the one I want, even if we lose the others.
When you come back,
I'll be back before daybreak.
you bring Colonel Haynes and range gang?
No, Tonto. If Colonel Haynes agrees to my plan, I'll return alone. I haven't time to explain. I'll give the call of the whippoorwill so you'll know it's me. Adios. Come on, Silver!
Leaving Tonto to keep watch on Ringo Smith and his outlaws, the Lone Ranger returned to the trail camp of his old Texas friend, Colonel Haynes. He told the rancher what he had learned and then outlined a plan, after which he concluded,
Yes, I know it's a daring plan, Colonel. A plan that could fail. But if you'll agree to it, we may be able to accomplish two things.
Two things?
Yes. First, we'll save your herd and get it to Abilene. Second, we'll be able to capture Ringo Smith and his entire band of outlaws.
Well, my friend, it appears to me that we have no alternative but to try it.
That's right. If you won't go through with it, they'll raid your herd. Perhaps kill you and your men.
Yes, I see how it is. In the face of those facts, here are the papers. I turn them over to you.
Good. I'll be going back to rejoin Tonto. But make certain that your men understand what they're to do.
I'll explain everything to them. When I tell them you're the Lone Ranger, I don't think they'll let you down.
Good enough. Here, Silver. Adios, Colonel.
Adios, my friend.
Come on, Silver.
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger story. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now, to continue our story. It was shortly before daybreak when the Lone Ranger rejoined Tonto, and the latter quickly related what had happened after the Lone Ranger's departure.
Well, me watch. Me see bandits leave camp. Them go many way.
As I expected. They've scattered, but they'll meet again at some appointed place.
But Ringo Smith, another man, not go. Them stay in camp.
Are they there now?
Not right.
Very likely they plan to kill me and take the papers I have. I can handle that. Now, Tonto, I'll explain my plan. You're a very important part of it, so listen carefully.
Me listen. Me do what you say.
The Lone Ranger outlined his plan as far as he had been able to work out the details, but there were many loose ends. The success of the plan would depend on the reaction of Ringo Smith and his gang, and the masked man's ability to meet whatever situation might arise. Tonto became increasingly sober as he listened. He knew that the Lone Ranger was putting his life on the line, and that the slightest mistake would bring a quick and merciless death. The Indian knew better than to try to dissuade the masked man. He simply nodded and agreed to do his part. It was later the same night when Ringo studied the position of the stars and calculated the hour. Pete knew what the outlaw leader was thinking.
Well, Ringo, looks like that masked critter's not coming back.
Yeah, Pete, looks that way. Breaking daylight now, and he said he'd be back before then.
He just put one over on you, that's what he did.
If he's operating in this neck of the woods, as he said, we'll run into him and his Indian renegades one of these days when they're not looking for us. We'll settle his hash.
Hey, what's that?
I don't know.
Don't reach for your gun, Ringo.
Hey,
It's him.
And I heard what you said about settling my hash.
Well, I thought you was pulling a double cross on us.
Don't talk about double crosses. I'm wise to you. You sent your men away. You and Pete have stayed here to gun me down and take these papers.
Papers? You mean you got them?
That's what I went for. Let me warn you for the last time. Don't try to double-cross me again or you'll regret it.
I'm not trying to double-cross you. I just wasn't certain you was on the level.
I'll accept that explanation for the time being. We've got to move fast. Send Pete after your men.
Then what are you going to do?
We're going to attack the trail crew and seize the herd. Now get moving.
All right, but let me ask you one question, mister.
What is it?
Where's your Indian friend?
Maybe he's rejoined his renegade brothers.
Oh, he has, huh?
Don't get any funny ideas that I'm now at your mercy. They'll have you and your men under surveillance day and night till we get to Abilene. So don't try any double cross.
I get you. My men are waiting in a camp we used a couple of days ago. We'll join them and then go after that herd.
After Ringo had his gang together, the Lone Ranger took charge and led the way to intercept the big, slowly moving trail herd.
Hey, Ringo, take a look at that herd.
One of the biggest herds I ever saw. Mister, you wasn't lying about it.
We'll all be rich when we deliver it in Abilene. And we can hit for cover before anyone learns it's a stolen herd.
Hey, the trail crew's seen us.
There's only a handful of them. Let's go. Come on, Silver. Come on, man. Get up. Come on.
Hey, the crew's running away.
Can you beat that? They don't want to fight it out.
I'm not surprised. Hold your men, Ringo. Ho, Silver.
Why don't we run them down and kill them?
Herd's starting to mill. May stampede at any moment. More important to keep it moving.
You're right, Ringo. I'll get the boys to work on the herd. Get up there. Come on.
Say, mister, you said you weren't surprised that the crew run away without a fight. Just what did you mean by that?
To get the papers, I met a couple of men last night. One of them was Colonel Haynes, the owner of the herd.
You killed him?
Oh, without the big boss, I didn't expect the men to risk their lives against as many men as we have. Now, come on, Ringo. Let's get this herd together before it stampedes. Come on, Silver.
Get him, man.
Day after day, the great herd moved rapidly northward toward the railhead at Abilene. And it was the Lone Ranger, not Ringo Smith, who gave the orders to members of the outlaw band. This rankled Ringo. He expressed his feeling to his friend, Pete.
I'd like to blast him out of his saddle.
Yeah, so would I. But don't try it, Ringo.
Why not? First thing I know, you'll take over my whole band, and where'll I be?
And don't lose your head. You recollect what he said about them Indian renegades of his?
Yeah, what about them?
Take a look to the west yonder.
Hey, I hadn't seen them riders before.
And if you look east over there, you'll see some more of them.
Well, I'll be a salamander.
They're Indians. They've been trailing us day and night.
Some of the crew told me they'd heard Indians prowling around at night, but I didn't believe them.
That masked man wasn't lying. So don't get no ideas about shooting them. At least not now. Hey, what's that?
Steady there. Whoa. What is it? Why, you jughead, that's a train whistle. Pete, we're here.
You mean we're near Abilene?
That's where the railroad is.
Yeah, the boys are putting on a celebration.
Here comes the masked man.
Hold it.
Oh. Is this it, masked man?
Abilene is just over the rise, about 2 miles from here.
Put up that gun, you fool. You want to stampede the herd now that we got it this far, safe and sound?
Well, Ringo, I sure feel like raising the roof. I sure do.
Now we've arrived safely with the herd. We don't want to make any mistakes. It'd be too bad for all of us if we do.
Yeah, that's right. We got to make this deal look on the level.
Now, here, Ringo, take these papers.
You're letting me have them?
Yes, you'll have to carry on from here. My horse and I are known in Abilene.
Oh, I see.
I'll tell your men to stay with the herd, and you and Pete ride on into town. You heard that train whistle?
Sure did. I nearly jumped out of my saddle.
I think it's a signal that the herd has been sighted. If so, it will set off a celebration in town.
Celebration?
Yes, they always greet a herd with a celebration. In fact, it's my guess that a delegation of the town citizens will ride out to meet you.
Yeah, they sure do it upright, don't they?
Yes. And remember, you're not Ringo Smith, but Colonel Haynes from Pecos Valley, Texas. Understand?
Yeah, and I've got papers to back it up. Well, where are you going?
Join my own band of Indian renegades. Anything goes wrong, we'll be ready to help.
We'll join up with you after we sell the herd.
Adios. Come on, Silver.
Let's get going, Ringo.
Just a minute, Pete.
Yeah, what's the matter?
I was just thinking how we can leave that critter and his Injuns high and dry without a cent.
Yeah? How you gonna do it?
After we've made the sale, we'll put our horses in cattle cars and board the train going east. We'll be clean out of reach before that masked hombre wakes up to what's happened.
And we won't have to split a cent with him.
I knew I'd think up some way of getting rid of him, and that's it. Now let's tell the boys to bring the herd into town, and then you and me will go meet the reception committee.
Let's go. Get out of there.
Come on.
Yonder's that cattle train.
Yonder's the town. Abilene at last.
Ain't not much of a town, is it?
Judging by that reception committee that's riding out to meet us, I'd say it's bigger than you'd think.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Must be nearly 100, I'd judge.
All of it. Here they come.
Now put on your best bib and tucker, Ringo. You're Texan, you know.
Leave it to me, Pete. I'll do it up in grand style. Oh,
Welcome to Abilene.
howdy, gents. Howdy. We sure are glad to get here. Easy, fellas.
Easy, steady.
Glad to meet you, gents. Mighty glad. My name's Wheeler. I'm sheriff of Abilene.
Glad to know you, Sheriff. This is my trail boss, Pete.
Howdy, Sheriff.
Mighty glad to meet up with you. You say you're the owner of the herd coming up the trail?
Yes, it's mine. Drove it all the way up from Pecos Valley.
You don't say.
Where?
Well, and what's your name?
Haynes. Colonel Haynes.
Haynes, huh? Well, now, that's quite a coincidence.
Well, how do you mean, Sheriff?
One of the members of the reception committee is named Haynes. I want you to meet up with him. Colonel Haynes.
Yes, Sheriff.
I want you to meet a man with your name. Colonel Haynes, Meet Colonel Haynes.
Well, I'm glad to meet you, Colonel.
Yes, and I'm mighty glad to meet you.
It sure is nice of all you folks to give us such a warm welcome. We wasn't expecting it.
Well, now, before we head back into town, there's one little formality we generally attend to now.
What's that, Sheriff?
I like to examine the herd papers first off. Then we don't have to stop celebrating later on. You've got the papers, of course.
Oh, sure. Yeah, here they are.
Thanks. Yep. Yes. Yeah, them's the papers, all right. Seem to be in shape, too. Well, now we can start celebrating. Just let me get the key. Here it is.
Is that the key to the city, Sheriff?
No, it's not. It's the key to the jail.
The jail?
What's that? Yes, the one we're going to lock you in. You and all your gang, Ringo Smith.
Hey, what's this all about?
This herd belongs to me.
And I'm arresting you, Ringo Smith, for trying to steal it. Take him on, man.
Hey, we've been tricked. You'll never get away with this. Look yonder at that masked man and them Injuns riding in here. They'll massacre the lot of you.
There's only one Indian in that crowd.
One Indian? That's what you think.
The others you see are my cowhands. They're painted and feathered, but they're not Indians.
The rest of the gang are coming over the ridge now, Colonel. You and the others get ready to arrest them when they ride in.
We're ready. Well, Ringo, he led us into this trap.
Yeah, that dirty double-crosser. I knew I should have shot him the first time I laid eyes on him.
Yonder they come, men.
All right, let's go, Sheriff. Come on,
Ringo Smith's outlaws were taken completely by surprise and were captured without a shot being fired. As the great herd of tired cattle trailed into the small frontier settlement under guard of their own trail hands, the Lone Ranger prepared to mount the great horse Silver.
Well, Colonel, our work here is done, so Todd and I'll be going. Steady, Silver. Easy.
I'll never forget what you've done for me, my friend.
It couldn't have been done without your cooperation, Colonel.
You got my herd here without losing a critter.
With your help, we rounded up every member of Ringo Smith's band of outlaws without firing a shot. Adios, Colonel.
Adios.
Come on, Silver. Come on,
Well, Ringo, your bandit days are over, thanks to the masked man.
Just who is that double-crossing owl?
Well, he's no owl hoot. He's the best friend ranchers and lawmen ever had. He's the Lone Ranger.
This is a feature of the Lone Ranger Incorporated, created and produced by George W. Trendle, directed by Charles D. Livingston, and edited by Fran Stryker. The part of the Lone Ranger is played by Brace Beamer.
This has been a presentation of OTRWesterns.com, and we hope you enjoyed. please take some time to like and rate our shows in your favorite podcast application. Follow us on Facebook by going to otrwesterns.com/Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel by going to otrwesterns.com/YouTube. And send us an email, podcast@otrwesterns.com. You can call and leave us a voicemail, 707-986-8739. This episode is copyright under the Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike copyright. For more information, go to otrwesterns.com/copyright. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.